Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Today I will discuss some remaining topics of this chapter. First we will discuss the characteristic line, then beta, then security market line, over and undervalued stocks, and in the last we will discuss shifts in the security market line. This lecture is in continuation of the previous lecture where we have studied the capital asset pricing model. So today first we will discuss the characteristic line and we will see how to calculate the systematic risk by the characteristic line. So first we will discuss what is the characteristic line. It's a line that describes the relationship between an individual security's returns and returns on the market portfolio. The slope of this line is beta, and here beta is the measure of systematic risk. So we are using the regression model to determine the systematic risk or the beta of an individual asset. So the systematic risk input of an individual asset is derived from the regression model referred to as the asset's characteristics line with the market portfolio. So you can see this formula RIT is equal to alpha I plus beta I RMT plus epsilon. Here RIT is the rate of return for asset I during period T and T means time. RMT is the rate of return for the market portfolio M during T. Alpha I is equal to RIT minus beta I RM because we believe that a complete diversified portfolio there is no unsystematic risk. The only risk that exists is the uh, systematic risk. So the epsilon term must be the random error term, which is also known as the residual term. So it must be zero. Then R alpha is equal to RIT minus beta IRM. And the formula for the beta is beta I is equal to covariance IM over sigma square M. It is the covariance between the individual asset return and the market portfolio return and divided by the variance of the market return. And we know that the covariance of the market return with the market return is the variance of the market return. So the formula becomes beta is equal to covariance Im divided by variance or sigma square m. Here you can see a graph of the characteristic line. We draw the excess return market portfolio on x-axis and excess return on stock on the y-axis. Excess return on market portfolio means the expected return on market portfolio minus the risk-free rate of return. And excess return on stock means the expected return on stock minus the risk-free rate of return. So at a given interval of time, we draw the different combinations of excess return on stock and excess return on market portfolio, and we got a scatter diagram. Then we fit the regression line in the scatter diagram, and here you can see that this regression line is known as the characteristic line, and the coefficient beta is equal to rise over run. So beta is the slope of this line, and rise over run means it is the excess return, change in excess return on stock divided by change in the excess return on market portfolio. So by this we can determine the beta of the characteristic line. Characteristic line and different betas. Here you can see different characteristic lines, and each characteristic line has a different slope or beta. If beta is equal to 1 or slope is equal to 1, it means that excess returns for the stock vary proportionally with excess returns for the market portfolio. In other words, the stock has the same systematic risk as the market as a whole. If the beta or slope is greater than 1, it means that the excess return varies more than proportionally with the excess return of the market portfolio. Similarly, if the beta is less than 1 or slope is less than 1, then excess return varies less than proportionally with the excess return for the market portfolio. And if the beta is greater than 1, this type of stock is called an aggressive stock or aggressive investment. And if beta is less than 1, then this type of stock is called a defensive investment. So beta can be viewed as a standardized measure of systematic risk. It is also known as an index of systematic risk because we know that beta is a relative measure of risk, and we divided the covariance between the individual asset return and the market portfolio over the variance of the market portfolio. Secondly, it gives us a number, so that is why we call it an index of systematic risk. It measures the sensitivity of a stock's returns to changes in returns of the market portfolio. It also tells us how sensitive the stock is if there is a change in the market portfolio returns. इसका मतलब ये है कि जो स्टॉक रिटर्न्स हैं वो कितने सेंसिटिव हैं अगर कोई चेंज आता है मार्केट पोर्टफोलियो में। जैसे अभी हमने कैरेक्टरिस्टिक लाइन में देखा था कि जो जो स्टॉक रिटर्न्स हैं अगर मार्केट पोर्टफोलियो में चेंज आता है फॉर एग्जांपल 5%, तो ये पॉसिबिलिटी है कि जो स्टॉक रिटर्न्स हैं उसमें मोर देन 5% चेंज आए। इसी तरह ये भी पॉसिबिलिटी है कि जो स्टॉक रिटर्न्स हैं उसमें लेस देन 5% चेंज आए, यानी सेम प्रोपोर्शन के साथ चेंज आए। और ये भी हो सकता है कि जो स्टॉक रिटर्न्स हैं उनमें सेम प्रोपोर्शन के साथ चेंज आए जो कि मार्केट पोर्टफोलियो रिटर्न में चेंज आया। तो इससे हमें ये पता चलता है कि जो स्टॉक रिटर्न्स हैं अगर मार्केट पोर्टफोलियो रिटर्न्स में कुछ चेंज आता है तो उसके अगेंस्ट स्टॉक रिटर्न्स जो है वो कितने सेंसिटिव हैं, उसमें कितना चेंज आता है। अगर वो ज़्यादा चेंज आता है तो इसका मतलब है कि हाईली सेंसिटिव है। अगर कम आता है तो इसका मतलब है लेस सेंसिटिव है। अगर उनका प्रोपोर्शन सेम है तो इसका मतलब है कि उनका सेंसिटिविटी लेवल जो है वो सेम है विद द मार्केट पोर्टफोलियो। द बीटा फॉर अ पोर्टफोलियो इज सिंपली अ वेटेड एवरेज ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल स्टॉक बीटास इन द पोर्टफोलियो। जो बीटा है पोर्टफोलियो का जो बीटा है डिटरमिन करना वो आसान है। जैसे हमने जब टू एसेट्स का डिवीजन डिटरमिन किया था, पोर्टफोलियो बनाया था, तो वो उसको डिटरमिन करना मुश्किल था। देखिए यहाँ पे सिंपली अगर आप जो भी आपका आपने पोर्टफोलियो बनाया है 4 स्टॉक्स का 5 का जितने का भी है, आप हर इंडिविजुअल स्टॉक का बीटा डिटरमिन करके उसका वेट लेके और उसका उसको आप उसके वेट एवरेज ले लें तो आप पोर्टफोलियो उसका बीटा कैलकुलेट कर लेते हैं। A market portfolio has a beta of 1। जो market portfolio उसका बीटा हमेशा 1 के इक्वल होता है। Therefore, if the beta for an asset is above 1, the asset has higher normalized systematic risk than the market, which means that it is more volatile than the overall market portfolio। अगर जो बीटा अगर एसेट का 1 से ज़्यादा होगा तो इसका मतलब ये है कि उन स्टॉक्स का जो सिस्टमैटिक रिस्क है वो मार्केट से ज़्यादा है। अगर वो मार्केट से ज़्यादा है तो इसका मतलब है कि वो जो स्टॉक्स हैं वो ज़्यादा वोलेटाइल हैं, ज़्यादा रिस्की हैं एज कम्पेयर टू द ओवरऑल मार्केट पोर्टफोलियो। Here are some selected beta coefficients and their interpretations. So in this slide, I will discuss some of the beta coefficients and how to interpret these coefficients. So first, if the beta is of a stock is positive, then the stock returns will move in the same direction as market portfolio returns. If the beta of stock is negative, then the stock return will move in the opposite direction to the market portfolio returns. And if beta of stock is zero, then it is unaffected by market movement. And if beta is positive 2, then it is twice as responsive as the market. It means that if there is a 5% percentage change in the market portfolio returns, then it is expected that there is a 10% change in the stock returns. If the beta is positive 1, then there is the same response as the market. It means that if there is a 5% change in the market portfolio returns, then we expect that there is a, on average, a 5% change in the stock returns. If it is 0.5 positive, then there is only half as responsive as the market. If there is a 10% change in the market portfolio returns, then we expect that there is a 5% change in the stock returns. And if it is zero, then it is unaffected by the market movement. If it is negative, then only half as responsive as the market. And if it is negative 1, then it is same response as the market. And if it is negative 2, it means there is a twice as responsive as the market. The security market line. So it's a line that describes the linear relationship between expected rates of return for individual securities and systematic risk as measured by beta. So now we have understand that in a complete diversified portfolio, there is no unsystematic risk. So the only risk that exists in the complete diversified portfolio is this systematic risk. So it means that the investors only demand compensation against the systematic risk, and they cannot demand compensation against the unsystematic risk because unsystematic risk can be diversifiable and can be eliminated through the diversification. So here you can see that the security market line is the linear relationship between the individual security returns and the systematic risk as measured by beta. So it means that if there is an increase or decrease in the beta or the systematic risk of a security, then there will be a corresponding increase or decrease in the individual security returns, and we will have a linear or straight line. The equation for the risk return line is expected return Ri is equal to RFR plus Rm minus RFR over sigma square m into covariance Im. Rm minus RFR is the excess return on market portfolio. If we rearrange the equation or the formula, we will get RFR plus covariance into Im over sigma square m into Rm minus RFR, and covariance Im over sigma square m is equal to beta, which is the slope of the characteristic line. So RFR plus beta into Rm minus, so equation is E expected Ri is equal to RFR plus beta into Rm minus RFR. So we can use this equation to determine the return on the individual securities. It's a graph of security market line with normalized systematic risk. RFR is the risk-free rate of return, and RM is the market portfolio return. ERI is the expected return on individual security, and beta is the measure of systematic risk. So here you can see it's a straight line, and this line describes a linear relationship between the individual security return and the beta of that security return. Secondly, you can see that the beta of the market portfolio is 1, and if the beta increases or decreases, the expected return on individual security also increases or decreases accordingly. So we will get a straight line, and that line is known as the security market line. Determining the expected rate of return for a risky asset. So the equation is expected RI is equal to risk-free rate of return plus beta I into Rm minus RFR. The expected rate of return of a risky asset is determined by the risk-free rate of return plus a risk premium for the individual asset. The risk premium is determined by the systematic risk of the asset beta and the prevailing market premium, which is the Rm minus RFR, and that is the excess return on market portfolio. It's an illustration to determine the expected rate of return for a risky asset. So here we have stocks from A, B, C, D, and E, and the respective beta coefficients are 0.701, 1.15, 1.40, negative 0.30. We assume that the risk-free rate of return is equal to 6% and the market portfolio return is equal to 12%, and its implied market risk premium is equal to 6%. 12% minus 6% is equal to 6%. We put the values in this equation. Expected RI is equal to risk-free rate of return plus beta into Rm minus RFR, and we find the expected return on stock A, B, C, D, and E, and it is 10.2% for stock A, and then 12% for stock B, 12.9% for stock C, and 14.4% for stock D, and 4.2% for stock E. If you look at this closely, you can find that there is a difference uh, in the individual security returns in stock returns, and that difference is due to the beta coefficient, because the risk-free rate of return is same, market portfolio return is same, and implied risk premium is same for all the stocks, but the only difference is the beta. If the beta is high for stock, then the return is also high, and if the beta is low, then the return on that stock is low. So it means there is a linear relationship between the individual stock returns and the beta. So if market is in equilibrium, all assets and all portfolios of assets should plot on the security market line. Any security with an estimated return that plots above the SML is underpriced, and any security with an estimated return that plots below the SML is overpriced. Identifying undervalued and overvalued assets. So by comparing the required rate of return to the expected rate of return for a specific risky asset using the SML of a specific investment horizon, to determine if it is an appropriate investment. So we can compare the required rate of return with the expected rate of return, and that expected rate of return is expected by the investors. So we can use the similar line to determine whether that investment is overvalued or undervalued, and whether we have to buy that asset or we have to sell that asset, or that asset lies on the SML line. So we can use the independent estimates of return for the securities that provide for price and dividend outlooks. So it's an illustration to determine the expected future rate of return. There are five stocks, stock A, B, C, D, and E, and their current market prices are $25 per share, $40 per share, $33 per share, $64 per share, and $50 per share respectively. And their expected price in future is $27, $42, $39, $65, and $54 respectively. The expected dividend is 0.50, $0.50, $1 per share, 1.10, and 0. And the expected future rate of return is 10%, 6.2%, 21.2%, 3.3%, and 8% respectively. We calculate this expected future rate of return by using the current expected price, and expected dividend. We simply subtract the future price from the current market price as 27 minus 25 and divide it on the current market price. The difference is 2, so divide 2 on the $25 per share. Similarly, we divide 0.50 on the current market price, and by adding up, we determine the expected future rate of return on stock A, B, C, D, and E. So here we compare the required rate of return with the estimated rate of return of stock A, B, C, D, and D, and we find that stock A is properly valued and stock B is overvalued, negative 5.8%. Stock C is undervalued 8.3. We simply extract estimated return from the required rate of return. Then stock D is overvalued and stock E is undervalued. So here we plot the estimated returns of A, B, C, D, and E decimal graph. You can see that stock B and D is overvalued and stock C and E is undervalued, and stock A is lies on the SMA line, so it is properly valued. Inflation shapes security market line. An increase in inflation or decrease in inflation shapes security market line accordingly. If there is an increase in inflation, the investors demand additional compensation against that inflation so that they can intact their wealth in future. They demand inflation premium. So in this case, you can see that the inflation premium increases from 5% to 8%, and the risk-free rate of return is increased from 7% to 10%. And we have achieved new SML line, SML1. If you look at the SML line, the new SML line, you can see that the market return at the same level of risk is increased by 3%. And all the other security returns on the new SML line, their returns are increased by 3% at the same level of risk. So in this case, the SML line is shifted upward parallelly. Risk aversion shifts security market line. In this diagram, you can see that the security market line has shifted upward. And this is because of the increase in the risk aversion of investors. Due to that, the risk premium has increased from 4% to 7%. And the slope of the new SML line has changed. This means that now the investors are requiring more return for the same level of risk they were bearing in the old SML. So in this way, risk aversion can also shift the security market line. So when we relax several of the major assumptions of the capital asset pricing model, the required modifications are relatively minor and do not change the overall concept of the model. So I think it is enough for today, and we will further discuss it in the interactive session.